Welcome to my channel. My name is Honey and I am a British astrologer, and today people we are discussing top 5 synastry aspects. And where did this idea come from? I made a video a few days ago where I spoke about the top 5 worst aspects in synastry, and someone said in the comments, Honey, we can't have the bad without the good. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do read the comments, but I thought this was a great opportunity to make this video and to get it out there ASAP, as we are on the theme, talking all about the good, the bad, the ugly, astrology. You know how it goes. Anyway, shout out to you who left that comment. I really appreciate it, because here we are doing this video. So before we actually get into the top 5, this is very important. This is key information. You guys need to make sure you are listening with both ears. You are an individual person and you are not going to relate to absolutely everything in astrology. We all know this. But it's important that you know what you need from your chart. So if you are someone who has a difficulty in expressing your emotions, expressing how you feel because of how unsafe your home environment was when you were growing up. So your moon in your chart will have lots of challenging aspects. Your 4th house will be jacked up. You want to have someone who comes through your 4th house in synastry, or someone who has a lot of really positive conjunctions or trines to your moon to really help you feel safe. If you're someone who has a lot of insecurities, you are struggling with money even, or understanding how to multiply money, and money makes you feel secure. There are people out there who are like that, right? You want to date somebody who can help you to multiply your money, to help you feel a lot more secure within yourself. That means you want to have some sort of 2nd house synastry, or some sort of really positive Venus aspects in your synastry. That's what I'm saying, people. It's about what your chart looks like as an individual to really grasp exactly what kind of energy you are best suited to. And I'm pretty sure you guys will be asking, well, how do I find that out? Well, I do a reading called Who Should I Be Dating, which can be purchased from my website, honeysastro.com. That is where I go into your birth chart. I look into your chart to see exactly what you need, because even though you have your sun here, your moon here, but what if you have insecurities over here? What if you have a very difficult Mercury over there, and you need to date someone who's going to really support your ideas and your day-to-day? You want to have some really good aspects to support you. I look into that, and I also give you the best placements that you are best suited to in the long term if you are trying to understand who to date. And also, quickly, I made a video 4 years ago where I spoke about my partner, how I manifested him, how I did his chart, everything, which you guys can watch. I'm going to probably link it up here, but I will link it in the pinned comment section below. Get down there and get clicking, people. So let's start by talking a little bit about Mercury. Mercury is your communication, processing information, generating ideas. Is how you communicate and speak to people, how you're thinking up here. But it's also about managing your everyday, you know, how you want to drive your car, what sort of laptop you want to use, what sort of softwares you like. Mercury is all about our everyday habits, everyday thoughts. So if we look at Mercury, it's important that you have some positive sextiles, trines, conjunctions to your Mercury in synastry. And that will be in reference to Saturn, to Venus, to Sun, to Jupiter, preferably those aspects. I also like Mars as well, but in reference to my top 5 to Mercury, I like any of these planets to Mercury. The thing is with Mercury, because this is how we are speaking to our partners, you know, we want to have a safe space to be able to say, hey, you know what, I've got this amazing idea. What do you think? Or I really like this type of way of living. I like to organize my house a certain way. You know, what do you think? Just feeling comfortable enough to be able to be heard by your partner. A lot of clients I've read for don't always have the most positive Mercury aspects, but I will say what has been quite common for a lot of my clients that I've read for in the past is Jupiter conjunct Mercury. The Mercury person is always infatuated or in awe with the Jupiter person, because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, luck, blessings, gains, and Jupiter is there to create more of an optimistic mindset for Mercury. You know, Jupiter is like, well, you've got this amazing idea, why don't you put it into this blog, or why don't you publish it over here, or put it into a book, I'll help you do that. Jupiter is there to expand the ideas that you as the Mercury person has. So when you are dating someone, or just a friend, or whoever it could be, just someone around you, Jupiter aspects, trine, sextile, conjunction towards your Mercury is always going to be a really beneficial placement to have. I know Mercury can be a little bit dry, it's a bit dull, and we don't really talk about Mercury enough. I thought about this today because today I had couples therapy with me and my partner. We have couples therapy, and it was just an amazing day. I recommend everybody, whether you feel like you got problems or not, just have therapy. And it was just a nice safe space to be able for both of us to be able to communicate and to discuss discuss and to share each other's ideas and for it to be received. You want to have those positive aspects in synastry. Even in reference to Venus, you know, Venus is our self-esteem, value, worth, personal pleasures. And when you think about Venus in aspect to Mercury, Venus is adding so much creativity to Mercury's ideas. It just adds a little glitter and glam, you know, on that person's Mercury. Mercury's like, you know what, I have this amazing idea, you know, I want to write this blog, I want to talk about this. And Venus is like, okay, I'll get you a soundtrack to your blog, I'll get you some music to go with it, or I'll send you this amazing podcast. Let's go to the museum and get some inspiration, some visual. It adds the visual to the Mercury's ideas in the head and the logic, and it puts it into perspective in a visual way. I actually see Venus quite a lot as well in aspect to someone's Mercury. But yeah, that's what I kind of like for Mercury, is for Mercury to feel that it has this inspiration, so Mercury can just feel safe with these planets. I want to also mention as well Saturn. It's like a therapist, yeah. Mercury's the person who's like, oh, you know what? Oh, I've had such a shit day. I can't think about this, or I can't put it into this, where I can't do this, I can't do that. Mercury can be in a very foggy place, right? And Saturn just comes in, swoops up Mercury and says, hey, you know what, Mercury? I got you. Let's go. You know, and Saturn's just guiding Mercury into putting things into perspective. Like Saturn is like the old man, it's the granddad. He's very wise. So Saturn's very good into feeling a lot more structured with its thoughts. And also, remember I said you'll feel this a lot more when it's the conjunction. The sun is our soul's purpose, the ego, the expression. It highlights whatever it's an aspect to. So a lot of the themes in your relationship when you have sun conjunct Mercury will be communication. Lots and lots of talking. It kind of makes it easier for the Mercury person to feel seen and to feel understood. Being understood in a relationship is a privilege for a lot of people. And you want to kind of date someone who can see and understand your ideas and help you put things into perspective, help you understand things a lot more clearly, because it just makes you feel like you matter. So you want to have positive aspects to your Mercury. How can I forget the moon? When you've got the moon in positive aspect to Mercury in synastry, it is such a blessed placement, because what happens is the moon person feels understood by Mercury. You know, it's like when you're emotionally triggered but you can't quite put it into words. You know, if you've got Mercury in positive aspects in synastry, that person can put things into words for you that you never thought made sense in your own feelings. So it's a really positive aspect to have in synastry, because mentally that person is doing a lot to really understand how you're feeling. Number 4 is going to have to be vertex. Vertex is what we call a fate point, right? And it's very important that we understand how to use it. I personally like to use it when I'm looking to see when the best time is for my clients to be out there on Tinder swiping or dating, going out there to meet people, because vertex is a great indication of when you are likely to meet someone. So especially when it's transiting your Venus, your Sun, or your 7th house, these are great transits for meeting somebody. And I did actually speak about this in When the Best Time Is to Get Married video. You guys will check that out. I hope you have done already. If you haven't, it will be linked in the comment section below. But let's say you guys have vertex. You've got vertex and anti-vertex, which are basically just oppositions. When you have someone's Venus, someone's Jupiter, Sun, or Moon in aspect, again, I prefer conjunctions. If there's a trine, great. Sextile, yes, all right. But again, the closer the better. Trine or conjunction. Those placements indicate that in this lifetime, you guys were supposed to connect. This was the best time to connect with each other. And usually when there is vertex aspects in that person's synastry, there were usually some vital vertex transits at the time of their meeting. Just like the synastry chart being very important to understand who these people are together, their meeting chart is just as important as their synastry. Vertex is amazing to have. 3. Now, people, okay, I'm going to say Venus conjunct Mars, Venus trine Mars, Venus sextile Mars, but specifically the conjunction. And the reason why I say the conjunction is because you will feel it. It's so intense, the conjunction, as opposed to the trine, as opposed to the sextile. The conjunction It's serious. Venus is your passive desires. These are two sexual planets anyway, but Venus is very subtle, very, you know, passive, and I won't say what I like, but you know, you'll learn it over time. Whereas Mars is more so, this is what I like, how I want it today, next week, I want it like this. It's very direct with its approach to its desires. Now, when these two come conjunct, these two people are on the same wavelength. Sexually, they see each other. I had a client one time, this was a very long time ago, and their synastry was terrible. I'm not gonna lie, it was really bad. But the one thing that kept them together was that Venus and Mars conjunction. This is literally what comes to mind when I think about Venus and Mars conjunction, because these two are together are like Batty and Bench. If they are sat in a restaurant, they are doing stuff under the table. One's going to the bathroom, the other one follows. There's things happening in there. When I say the intensity and the sexual chemistry is so on point, it's very hard to forget and move on from that, because if things don't work out between you and that person, you're never going to forget. You know, think about Venus as, you know what, this is what I really want. I want to have that romance. I want to feel desired. I want this person to seduce me in this type of way. And the Mars person is like, I'm motivated to please this person. I'm going to be dedicated to it. I'm on duty, and this is how I'm going to get done. Do you see how it just fits like that? That's what I'm trying to say. It's such a good conjunction. When you think about relationship desires, you know, Mars is very motivated. Like, Mars is doing a lot of the work, but Mars also is feeling good because Venus is applauding Mars, is appreciating Mars for all the work that it does. Even if it's not sexual, it's just the presence of each other. We understand each other, and it's not forced. It's just the love language, the physical touch, the gift giving is understand. It's a mutual benefit. And when I say conjunctions, I'm talking about within 5-degree orb, okay? Even if that's in the 12th house, but they are conjunct your ascendant, but preferably in the 1st house. But my point is within a 5-degree orb. 8-degree, 10-degree, a bit much, but within 5 degrees, yes. The ascendant is your physical body appearance, persona, identity. It's essentially who you are, but the ascendant is who we need to become as people. Yes, people, there will be an ascendant series on the way. And if someone's sun is conjunct your ascendant, this is who someone is, right? Is conjunct your ascendant, who you are trying to be. We're seeing two people in the same paths here in the right direction. My boyfriend's sun is exactly conjunct my ascendant, and so is his Mercury, and also his moon is conjunct my descendant. So essentially, we are on the right path in understanding more about Gemini energy. So what happens is the sun person is highlighting the expression more of understanding about you and what you need to become. So I like to see sun conjunct the ascendant. I like to see moon conjunct the ascendant. I like to see Venus conjunct as well. And also Jupiter conjunct the ascendant. I've had that as well. But those specific planets conjunct the ascendant tend to work out best in romantic relationships. Venus is really cute. I always think, oh, Venus conjunct the ascendant, because the Venus person comes into the house person's life, and they are bringing a lot of beauty, elegance, creativity, love, compliments. It just feels very like a feeling, a lot of peace, depending on the aspects of that person's Venus. But my point is, when Venus sits here, Venus makes the house person feel desired. When the moon sits here, someone's moon here, the moon person is making the house person feel emotionally safe. And you've got to also understand that the sign here plays a huge part in it, because I'm a Gemini rising, and dating Gemini moon is a very difficult moon to have. So in the past, I've always struggled dating them because emotionally they're not able to kind of understand what my needs are. But for example, if this was a Cancer rising with a Cancer moon, a Taurus moon, Taurus rising, and also Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon, it's just a very warm feeling. A lot of the themes in your relationship is going to be in reference to emotional security, but like I said, it depends on that person and how comfortable they are with responding to their own emotions, because if they're not comfortable, they are going to create a lot of disruption to your life. In reference to Jupiter the planet of luck, blessings, gains, expansion. Jupiter is supposed to bring more of an optimistic approach to life. I really love Jupiter in the 1st house in Synastry because it just adds a lot of positivity, vibe, learning, learning. The Jupiter person is encouraging you to learn more about yourself. People are like, okay, what's better, the first house conjunction or the seventh house conjunction? First house conjunctions are more favorable for the house person, because the house person is benefiting from the sun person or from the planet person. The seventh house is also really good. So everything I've just said is also in reference to the seventh house. However, we see the person benefiting is more so the planet person, because the house person is providing that safe space for the planets. I like first house synastry and seventh house synastry. My most top favorite synastry aspects is sun to moon conjunctions and Venus to moon conjunctions. Either way, conjunctions. I'm good with trines and sextiles, which is great, yeah, but it's the conjunctions which cannot be ignored. So when you think about the moon being your emotional sense of safety, you know, it's your inner world, your inner life, your emotional needs. The sun's purpose is to provide that safety for the moon. And when you have the conscious energy of the sun providing a space, I don't feel like the moon is an unconscious feeling, but for a lot of people it can be. The sun is just highlighting the unconsciousness of the moon, encouraging the moon to see the moon for what it is. The moon is vulnerable, it's safety, it's my home environment, my space. These are the two conjunctions that you find with people who end up moving in together very quickly. A conjunction where people end up being very happy. Both parties are getting their needs met. The moon is able to take a back seat and let the sun really be itself. You know, the moon is able to let the sun, or even support the sun, to explore its career, you know, to get what it wants out of life. But a lot of that is because the moon is happy to support the sun in its ventures in life, but the sun is also very appreciative of what the moon provides for the sun. Even in reference to Venus, you know, Venus is pleasure, and Venus is very good at making the moon feel safe when it's emotionally triggered. You know, Venus is like, oh my god, you know, what's happened? How are you feeling? Let me get you some flowers to feel better. Let me just cook you a meal to make you feel better. Venus is all about really helping the moon to feel safe. Safety is everything here, okay? It's everything. And one thing that I found is Venus conjunct moon and Venus and also sun conjunct moon. Venus and sun conjunct moon tend to be very favorable placement for people who end up getting married. Same for sun conjunct the ascendant, seventh house energy as well, because we see a couple who understand the purpose of you and someone else. There's a sense of balance and harmony together. And not saying you can't be happy without this placement, because people can. So people, that is my video this week. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Any questions, concerns, you guys let me know, but I wish you the best and I look forward to doing some more videos over time. All right, bye.